Hey everybody, it's Durger time, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of AEW New Era on TEW 2020. We have Full Gear in 10 days. We had the unfortunate problem with Hangman Page, where he will be back for Full Gear, I believe. He will be. In 10 days, he will be fine. And he could have worked angles, but we kept him away. The unfortunate reality of it being that we had a tournament, which we're now on our finals on, and we kind of had to pivot and change things. I probably would have given Hangman the belt at Full Gear. There probably would have been better ways to bring him back in, but I felt within the universe of this, it just made sense that if he's injured and he can't compete, then he can't compete. Storyline be damned. That brings us to Andrade versus CM Punk. An interesting element here. Punk undefeated. Andrade with the numbers. Where that leads, I don't know even yet as we're booking. I could see Punk winning it. I could see Andrade cheating to win and giving Punk his first loss. It's hard to tell, you know. But it's something that we're going to have to put together and then make an interesting story. I think we have some ideas, and we'll have those play out. Well, we have Rampage tonight, and then we have a Dynamite. And then we're going to switch it up a little bit, and the next episode will be another Rampage, leading into our Full Gear episode. So, and then after that, we're going to have probably a regular Dynamite Rampage episode. So we got a lot going on. It's just a matter of getting it all done. So that is the plan today. We're going to get Rampage and Dynamite for our go-home. And technically, the Rampage after is our go-home. But for the most part, Dynamite's going to be the important one that we're going to focus on. And then hopefully we'll have a pretty good pay-per-view. Now, the unfortunate thing is that we are running close to the end of the month, and that means that we have some of these objectives that are not looking like they're going to get completed. And when that happens, that's going to be bad news for us, because we do not have a lot of chips left in that first column. That means we're going to activate another objective to run, which is going to make it even harder. It means that we're going to have to activate the other wheel. So all this time, you guys have been giving me these ideas, and a lot of these have been, let's say, harsh, because they're going into the other wheel, the other suggestions, where Cody Rhodes, who we're playing as, is getting desperate, getting a little bit on edge because things aren't going the way he wanted to. So we have the Cody booking wheel that will throw something out there. And we also talked about a random chance that maybe some of the broader personalities may come into play. So we don't know if that's actually going to happen this round. It's all going to be randomly decided by a dice roll. It'll happen off screen here. But it could mean that some of our larger veteran wrestlers that have stables could become more demanding of us. And demand their own objectives lest we lose further momentum. So there's a lot that could potentially happen. What we want to do is to try to not have that happen. How do we not have that happen? Well, we have these two objectives that we need to complete by the end of November. I don't know if we're going to do them. One of them involves the Super Smash Brothers here getting to a 60 momentum. And that's going to be difficult, because we're at 48. The one is a little bit easier. It's a 55 with a former WWE veteran. And I put it for Bobby Fish. I originally had him set for Brian Pillman, but I think I might change that up, because the Griff Garrison storyline did not work very well. I don't know if Pillman's going to be the guy here, so we might pivot this episode to bring somebody else in that's not in a storyline, that we might be able to really guarantee this one. Unfortunate thing about this is the situation with the Super Smash Brothers here. Even with the inclusion of former Bray Wyatt, now Emmett Koresh. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be enough. It's really hard to say. But it's we're gonna try. Let's just say that, because I really don't want to lose any more chips. We're losing enough as we are on the regular show, so we're gonna try not to do that. Now let's go ahead and let's get on over to Rampage. All right, before we get into Rampage, we got Dustin Rhodes as a storyline here, is from the headlines, opening up to new horizons, wanting to work abroad. And Frankie Kazarian is hurt. A bruised tailbone. Looking into a week to fully heal, but he will continue to wrestle and not miss any dates. So that's good for us, but definitely getting scary with some of the injuries that can happen. They're starting to stack up in here. Frankie Kazarian is being worked through. He should be fine. And I don't foresee that being an issue, but, we got fractured cheekbone from Matt, bruised tailbone from Frankie. Everyone's getting pretty messed up. Anna Jay should be back in 3 days from her separated shoulder. So, we're working through it here. Darius will be back in 17 days, which is interesting as well. And, of course, Trent very far out with a 5-month issue. Ray Phoenix also torn abdominal muscle here, out for 32 more days. So, our tag champions are not going to be at full gear, which is a bummer. But that is what it is. All right, let's keep going. We do have a backstage incident with Matt Hardy and Daniel Garcia. This is going to be a protege. That's fine. Absolutely fine. We're going to try to probably do an open form again, try to lower some of that tension that we have from some of the botches. And probably going to be in the Southeast again. Let's go up to Midwest this time. That should be fine. Select a pick the best option there. Perfection. All right, we got a show. We got a 1-hour Rampage. And we did have a change in our scores. So we actually need a little bit less for Rampage. We'll talk about that at the end, which makes it a little bit easier to run. Because we had some shows as we've been going on that have scored lower, and that definitely hurt our momentum chips, but it makes it a little bit easier to recoup them now. So I'm a little bit less concerned about Rampage. More concerned about those storylines of what we can do to maybe figure out something to boost them, before the end of the month. And that's going to be difficult, I think, because it's going to be a real pain in the ass to try to boost it. One of which is obviously going to be changing who the storylines are really going to be about with Bobby Fish, and maybe getting somebody who's more of a fan favorite, crowd pleaser. That would be more interesting. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get both of them to where they need to be. All right, let's go ahead and let's book this show. I'll catch you guys on the flip. All right, we got a Rampage, 62 minutes, 69% of it being show or matches, so we're in a pretty good balance. We do have a warning that Evil Uno was used too much, and in hindsight, I think I hurt myself in the short term for something else, because I deleted a storyline, changing it around a little bit, and I realized I could have actually kept it, but I'm getting desperate, so we'll see what that looks like as we form a new storyline, a new stable, and a new storyline involving ex-WWE guys to hopefully get that boost, so we don't lose that objective. We don't have a lot of time to do it, but I think we can pull it off in a short term. We'll see. Let's go ahead and start the show. We started off with Bobby Fish and Brian Pillman Jr. This would have been part of that storyline, but we kind of changed it around a little bit, and it had a decent reaction from the crowd. Subpar wrestling. Bobby Fish defeats Brian Pillman Jr. in 10 minutes Fish has a 51. Pillman Jr. has a 36. That's kind of what I was worried about, and that's why I didn't do it. And good thing to know about this, though, is that Fish and Pillman have great chemistry. Fish is able to defeat Pillman, though. Gets us a 44. Afterwards, we advance our storyline of Bitter and Vindictive. Unfortunately, this segment does really poorly, and I'm not really sure why. The good news is that Pillman and Griff Garrison are only stops to a bigger opponent, which we'll probably reveal on this Dynamite, because we're going to try to boost this up. Fish starts attacking his opponent and beating up Pillman Jr. Griff Garrison comes out to assist him, and he's getting 2-on-1 a little bit. Pillman's still reeling on the ground, but Fish is trying to fight back Griff Garrison, and Griff's getting a little bit of a better of him because he's a little bit fresher, right? But that scuffle ends very quickly after Griff Garrison is bashed in the back by a chair by an unknown assailant. The camera pans to reveal Buddy Matthews, who debuted for us in an IWGP match, but he's looking angry and disheveled a little bit. His hair is like wet and greasy, kind of down. He's looking a little, think like Pac. Actually, he's looking a little rough for wear, and he doesn't look like he cares about what other people think about him. He's holding that chair. The two of them start attacking Pillman and Garrison until they kick them out of the ring. Matthews grabs the mic, which may have been the mistake. I'd have to look at what their stats are. And he goes, "What? No cheers?" And the crowd's obviously booing because he just attacked. And he goes, "For the last couple of years, all I've heard on the message boards and on Twitter is, oh, Buddy Matthews, he's so good. Oh, Bobby Fish," he points to Fish, "he's so underappreciated." Well, here we are. And crickets. Well, you know what? I don't care about it anymore. The fans are fickle. You know, you're all sheep. You hear one thing and you latch onto it. You don't understand talent or psychology or what makes it important. All you do is you follow trends and dump people the first chance you get. Well, you really don't have the knowledge to appreciate true skill. That we are big fish in a little pond now. But you know what? We're going to take all you internet darlings that you love, and we're going to take them to school. We're going to make them know what real wrestling looks like. So kind of targeting internet darlings. So the fan favorites is sort of the plan for these sort of grizzled veterans that have never gotten their due. Not that Buddy Matthews is necessarily grizzled or really a veteran, but we're kind of going with that idea that Fish has never gotten the time to really shine for fans, right? And you know, the internet wrestling community can be incredibly wishy-washy. They'll love a person, and then all of a sudden they'll start hating the person for no reason. And so this is sort of a meta storyline involving the internet darlings, one of which they'll be targeting for Full Gear, and sort of these tried and true like mercenaries that have always come out there, put on great clinics, maybe even carried them, but never really truly got the opportunity to shine, right? So that's sort of the story we're going with them, and we're gonna have them target a fan favorite as we've formed and potentially grown the new stable of The School, kind of playing off the idea of Bobby Fish, right, the veteran. Even though Buddy Matthews is actually leading it because he's actually more well known, but it's sort of that idea of here's the wrestling school, there's a group of fish, all right? I thought it was kind of funny. But we're going to start to grab some people that are grizzled like that maybe never really truly got that time to shine, to join, to be bruisers and beat people down. So we start to form that storyline. Unfortunately, this segment is not really what we wanted for this. But, what are you going to do? Well, hopefully on the Dynamite we'll correct it. Yes, what do we want to do here? We want to change his Grizzled. Let's see. Is Grizzled gimmick using adequate? We'll take adequate. It's fine. Oh, this didn't do as well as I thought it would do. My break glass in case of an emergency play was Hangman, and it didn't do that well. But we'll see if it plays in here. Hangman can still do angles. He's just not cleared for the ring until Full Gear. And we have the camera backstage catching a glimpse of Evil Uno talking to somebody, which we know, obviously, because the screen is Hangman Page. Uno's desperate. He goes, I don't know what to do. And he's obviously the figure's obscured by the one half of the doorway the camera's peering into. Stu's been a lifelong friend, but this Emmett Koresh guy, he's like twisting their mind. His mind. He's twisted all of their minds. I know he's still in there, and I just want to reach out to him, and I just want to get an explanation. I know you really can't get involved that much, and I know you have other things on your mind, and I know you're training for a match after Full Gear, but I could really use your help. We all could. And the camera pans to Hangman Page, who's looking much healthier. And Hangman just says, real friends put aside their needs for others. If you need me, I'm there, always. Right? So we got good boy Hangman Page going to be out there pulling off cowboy shit for the Dark Order. Presumably he's training for a match against the winner at Full Gear, right? Would probably be the obvious thing is that he's probably going to get a match guaranteed because of what happened with the injury, sort of a like a second place medal, I suppose, and giving him that opportunity. So he wants to train and focus on that, but he's going to split his attention to help out the Dark Order against the Fallen Order. Segment does 57. It's fine. It's not great, though. The match, also, not great. After hearing that, Uno goes out to wrestle Stu Grayson in a singles match, and it is terrible wrestling. Uno has a 39. Stu has a 40. Evil Uno beats Stu with a surprise cradle, gets him a little bit of a surprise roll-up. Unfortunately, we lose heat for this segment. Very bad. Afterwards, we redeem it a little bit, but not a lot, with the segment of 55 of the Fallen Order coming out to attack Uno, Dark Order coming out to defend. We don't have them all out here because they're really ancillary. The big four here is the focus, and Hangman Page coming out to assist, gives some buckshot lariats out to clear the ring, and then squares off and faces down Emmett Koresh, who smiles at him before turning to walk away. So we get a little bit of Hangman's like, this is my shit, not yours, and asserting a little bit of dominance here. Hangman Page's performance was good. Emmett's was fantastic. We expect that from Bray. And Bray has a groundswell of support. Gets us a 55. We're kind of building a long-term thing here that could be interesting. But for now, we're kind of using that to help buffer this relationship, which after seeing this, I'm pretty confident we're going to miss the requirements for the objective. And we have an IWGP US Heavyweight title match, Danielson versus Sammy Guevara. It does very good. It's a tactical match. So Sammy is a little bit weaker here, but the technical aptitude of Sammy, of Brian Danielson, man, I am never going to get his name right, am I? For Brian, is going to buffer it, and it ends up getting us a 77. The pros of giving him a tactical match outweighed the penalties for Sammy here. Sammy loses, eats a pin after a running knee, and Danielson makes defense number 2 of the IWGP US Heavyweight title. Afterwards, he cuts a promo about Moxley and says, I hear what you're saying. If you really want a match, this is what's going to take to end all of this, then you can have it. But it has to be decisive. We have to end it once and for all. And that's why at Full Gear, I've already talked to Tony Khan, and I've agreed to a 30-minute Iron Man match. So we're going to get a 30-minute Iron Man match. Most pinfalls wins. It's done at that point, right? So they both have a 1-1 in different areas. Both can pin the other in flash pinfalls, but how much can we really do after we have a set in stone number? That's sort of the goal here. So we have our match with Jon Moxley for the IWGP US title at Full Gear. This is 78 and ends the show. What do we need? Well, we need a 57. Actually, we need a 58 or higher in order to not lose points. 57 would lose us 1 because our average is 57. And we get a 58. So we do not lose any more momentum chips, but we do not gain any. We actually lost popularity in 11 regions. Not doing great here. Our focus kind of weakened us at the bottom of this here. Unfortunately, that Buddy and Fish school formation did very poorly for us. Might have been the other elements of it, and we might have just miscasted it. I don't know, but very unfortunate for us. And we get a 1.45, which is not too bad for us here. Show was decent, though hardly spectacular. And it definitely lost us some needed, not momentum, because that's obviously not terminology for it here, but it was not necessarily the best for us. So we have a Dark, which we'll sim through. And then we have a Dynamite, which is kind of our go-home. We really have a Rampage to go through before Full Gear, but we're going to try to get all our ducks in order for that Dynamite. For this storyline, the Bitter and Vindictive, not a great start, I can tell you that. We are going to have them feud with Darby Allin and Sting, which I think will really help us out here. Oh, you know what? That's weird, because he's supporting, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why that first match didn't count for this, but maybe because he just was a supporting role. But I think a Buddy Matthews, Darby Allin, Sting. Oh, that's why Bobby Fish isn't in here. God damn it! I am my own worst enemy at times, guys. I really tell you. You are aligned with Buddy. So, I would like to hear your comments before we get into Dynamite. Who do you think should join the school? Because we have two new teams, technically. We have the Fallen Order, right? And we have the school with Buddy Matthews and Bobby Fish. Guys that are grizzled. They just want to fight. They just want to... I almost like this group would be great with like FTR, and maybe we break up FTR at some point. I'm not that interested in not the FTR, into the Pinnacle that much. I feel like this is a powder keg ready to blow at some point anyway, so we could always fire that off with Wardlow fighting, MJF and Sean Spears maybe just going his own way and FTR going their own way. Maybe they join the school, right? Someone like Lance Archer might be a really good guy. Again, a guy that's always been a great worker, but underappreciated. It's a little bit more tenured, right? These kind of guys would make a good fit for this sort of, even Pac might not be a bad idea. This sort of loose faction association of wrestlers who, are kind of anti-internet darling. They just want to fight, and they want to be respected, and they want to maybe make your favorites suffer because they are your favorites, right? Because they think there's a faction against you because they say you are fickle. You don't really know what you guys like, and we're going to show you that what you like isn't true wrestling or true skill, because we're going to punish your favorites, right? So that's sort of this very heel stable that we're forming here with it. Let me know who you think should join. It doesn't need to be a lot of people, but over time I would like to add some people to the roster and build it up, and kind of make an interesting faction of bullies that can kind of come in and really put the screws to people if needed. All right, let's get on with Dark and Elevation and Full Gear and Dynamite. All right. So, I was booking the Dark match, and most part, what we do with Dark is just to play around a little bit and get some people some experience and see who pairs well with each other. Try to build up people like Wheeler Yuta and people like that. So we had the Gun Club versus our Trios champions. Obviously, Christopher Daniels and SCU is probably going to be gunning for them. And the Durger Curse was absent for a lot of the last season of NWA and decided to come back hard because Mr. Yuta has gotten a botch from Colton Gunn and sustained a broken forearm. It's going to be out for probably like a month. 2 months and 1 week. He is working through it though, but that severely impacts his performance. We are stacking up. We are collecting injuries in this AEW save like they are Pokemon, and it will not stop. It cannot stop. We have Dynamite tonight. We are going to put on a Dynamite match. We're going to try not to kill anybody. We have 1 month remaining on developmental contract for Jade Cargill. Good to know. She is in our developmental league. We'd have to look to see how she is faring, but her skill set is low, and she really needs to be sat in there for a while. Probably can track it here. Progress. Well, not really a lot of progress on her. She should actually probably have Prodigy, because she's going to build up very quickly, but at the moment, not still sitting in developmental for us. Luther relocates. Matt Jackson now fully recovered. Very good, but boy, we yeah. I don't know what to say about that other than yeah. All right, let's put on Dynamite. Let's try not to murder anybody. All right, backstage incidents, more protege work, which is always good for Daniel Garcia there. We'll continue to do that open forum and let people vent. And we should be good to go. We can go back to Southeast, it's fine. Alright, let's put on a show, and I'll catch you guys on the flip for Dynamite. Alright guys, we are back for Dynamite. How will this do? I don't know. It's kind of a go-home. We do technically have another episode of Rampage before this actual pay-per-view, but how will this shake up? I don't really know. We do try to do this as a go-home show, so a lot of the storyline beats are kind of set in stone here, and we try to kind of build that up. Obviously, our big match is actually our opener, which is Punk versus Andrade for the tournament final, and we'll see who is going to challenge Kenny Omega. And overall, pretty good show, I hope. but we will find out. We need a 66 or higher in order to not lose any momentum chips. So we definitely have a little bit of legwork to do here. Will we accomplish that? Let's find out. We start to show off. It's kind of a cheaty way to do it, but we have a hot entrance for CM Punk, just with an overness for like a quick 3 minutes. Punk's entrances just are popular, so it makes sense to really call out. That is what the overness function is for, is that when you have a very hot wrestler, you want to let the show linger on their entrance, and we simulate that here. He comes out with a super hot entrance for his opener match for the tournament final, gets us a 71 for this segment. And the match itself is fairly fantastic, I'd say. Jim Ross struggling to actually keep up with the match. It's a highly technical match. We have fantastic heat going into it, great wrestling. Ultimately, CM Punk does defeat Andrade by submission with an Anaconda Vice. I actually didn't want it for submission. I should have set it for pinfall, because I think submission does make a wrestler look a little bit weaker. But, oh well, we'll go with it. But part of the reason why Andrade lost, even though Punk is, obviously the better wrestler, Andrade had the numbers advantage with the entire La Familia, the family, out there. Unfortunately, for him, Eddie Kingston's still pissed off about losing the TNT Championship to Rush, and his sort of weird, misfit, sort of hodgepodge together version of LAX has attacked his buddy Santana Ortiz, come out to help. Eddie Kingston helps, ends up distracting and interfering with Andrade, making sure hey, you made me lose my belt? Well, screw you. Here's your opportunity to lose. CM Punk is not above capitalizing over this whole thing and does end up eliminating Andrade to become the winner of the tournament and thus the challenger for the AEW title at Full Gear. And obviously we build up a big feud that needs to be blown off probably at Full Gear between the family and Eddie's crew here, right? So Andrade had a 74, Punk had an 83. Pretty good and gained heat for the Familia storyline. Very good match, very good setup. Afterwards, we have a beatdown moment that we knew was going to be a little bit worse, but I'm still actually really happy with how this segment ends up with a 63. Just highlighting that there's a brawl after the match with Kingston's crew. Kingston actually and his crew get over on it and end up kind of getting the better of the conflict, and we set up sort of this 3-on-3 kind of fight. It was originally going to be 4-on-4 in my booking log with Andrade, Rey Fenix, Pentagon, and Rush, but obviously Rey Fenix is still injured. We were going to bring in Homicide to really kind of complete that LAX reunion kind of thing with this. But this serendipitously does work out that we have a 3-on-3, so we can still go ahead with that, and it should be fine. And should be looking forward to a pretty good trios match at Full Gear to blow off the feud here and probably move the Familia on to something better. Pena and Alex Abrahambres has great chemistry. Andrade enjoyed going off script and kind of improvising in his acting during this scene. So overall, did very good. Ric Flair was out there wooing a lot. This segment is underperformance, but we cut from that brawl to a backstage interview. Christian is out there explaining his hatred at this point for Jurassic Express. If you remember from the last segment, they beat up his car and vandalized it. There's this whole animosity between the two of them. Christian Cage doesn't like Jungle Boy, thinks that he had every opportunity given to him because of who his family was, who his dad was, and essentially has squandered it, right? and Christian Cage just wants to kind of knock some humility into him. Well, Christian really is starting to hate this back and forth. It has some very venomous things to say to Jungle Boy here. Ultimately, the highlight being that this horseplay has gone for far too long. It's time that I put an end to Jungle Boy once and for all, says Cage. He wants to see the real Cage. He wants to see the one from 20 years ago. Well, there's only one way to really get it. And that's why at Full Gear, we're going to have a no DQ street fight. Anything goes. And at the end of it, I'll reunite you with your goddamn father. So Christian's gone full heel here. Basically, he's going to murder Jungle Boy. And we're going to have a street fight. A little no DQ match. Probably some tables, probably some ladders, probably some chairs. We're going to have a full thing for this to really build up the culmination to this feud. Gains heat for this, gets a 59. Unfortunately, could have been a little bit better, but Christian Cage did fantastic improvising during the actual interview process. So, for all things considered, very good. Got the crowd hotter as well. The hot crowd maybe was a bad decision, or maybe wasted here, because we have a Thunder Rosa versus Ruby Soho match. Thunder Rosa defeats Ruby Soho in 12 minutes by pinfall with a La Rosa. Ruby Soho turned on Ruby. I think I was trying to set a turn, a face turn, and I think I did that wrong. But I don't know if we're going to, because Ruby Soho, we came in as a heel, but we never really played her that way. But that says that she just is not good at playing a face. So we may keep her as a heel in some capacity and work around building her up into a different thing. Right now in AEW, she's a very clear babyface, but according to the game, she does not play it well. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that as a person that has followed her from the indies, but we're not going to change it. We'll just work around it. Overall, though, end of the day, 58's not horrible for this match. She's 100% a heel. I don't know. We'll hold off for now. We'll hold off. Let me know what you think. If she's set for 100% a heel, I don't think we should turn her. We just rework a story around her. All right, better segment afterwards. Ruby Soho and Thunder Rosa have a handshake of show of mutual respect. Britt Baker interrupts to attack them and insult them, building up that Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa match. Britt Baker struggled to go off script during it, and obviously Ruby Soho's face turn is getting very little reaction from the crowd, not believing it. We have a trios match between the trios champions, the best friends with a injured Wheeler Yuta versus 2.0. Did not have much heat and had apparently terrible wrestling. Best friends defeat 2.0. Chuck Taylor pins Daniel Garcia with an awful waffle. I will always let Chuck Taylor win because I like to say awful waffle. Orange Cassidy, though, was heads and shoulders above everybody else in terms of in-ring work. Wheeler Yuta, we gave limited involvement because he's casted. He has a broken wrist. He can still fight, but we do not want to aggravate that injury, so we're going to give him a limited involvement and really let Orange and Chuck main that match. That is totally fine. Unfortunately, Matt Lee, Jeff Parker, and Daniel Garcia were not up to snuff in terms of in-ring performers for them. And ultimately only gets us a 51. Not the end of the world, but not a great match. And Flo was hurt, obviously, because of the little involvement of Wheeler Yuta. The injury that Wheeler Yuta worked through took a big toll. Certainly, that is fine, though. All things considered, with all these penalties, honestly, could have been worse. Afterwards, we have a kind of middling segment as well. Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky, the reunion of SCU, attack the Best Friends. We know that Christopher Daniels, the fallen angel, has come back to wreak havoc and inflict punishment, but mostly to take back what's rightfully theirs. They were the first tag team champions in AEW, and it seems like they have set their sights on the Trios Championship, something that could have been rightfully theirs if it existed before. They attack the Best Friends. They attack Yuta and actually start assaulting his casted arm, really having him reel in pain as they work the injury, and they ultimately level out the Best Friends here in a pretty bad way, hold up the Trio's belts in a mocking fashion, dropping them to the ground and walking away. We have a very angry, bitter SCU led by a very angry and bitter Christopher Daniels, and we're seeing that reflected upon his use of force against Wheeler Yuta. Gain heat for the Fallen Angels return, gets a 51. Could have been better, sure, but it will lead to a trios match, a championship match at Full Gear, which should be pretty good. Segment does a little bit better. We jump to a video package of 2 separate interviews between Cody Rhodes and Malachi Black. In this segment, we have this kind of competing back and forth interview about their upcoming match, which has been revealed to be an I Quit match. I can't remember if the second match we did with them was an I Quit match or not. I think it might have been, but we're going to go back to the well there and have them really, because it's all about quitting, right? Quitting things. And that's really what we're building with this story. And we talk about it here. Cody has a very babyface promo saying, Malachi Black thinks he's the first person to threaten me and my family. Well, that it's going to put me on edge. It doesn't. It just makes me mad. It makes me work harder. It gives me a purpose. And he has no idea when I have a purpose, what kind of world of hurt is going to come to him as I inflict that upon him in Full Gear, right? Very boring Cody Rhodes messaging here. That leads to Malachi Black's segment where he cryptically continues to talk about the foundation of AEW. And he talks about it here. It says, the first of the foundation shall crumble at Full Gear. This match isn't about Cody losing or hurting or quitting the industry. These things are neither a goal or honestly a relevant outcome. This is about revelation, uncovering the truths that lay at the heart of AEW and in the heart of Cody Rhodes. At Full Gear, Cody will quit, but he will not quit this match, nor will he likely quit wrestling. He will quit himself, and I will be there to rue the day and to reveal the truth harboring inside of him and rip that veil away to reveal his true self, and to begin the crumbling of the sickened foundation of AEW. So again, Malachi feels that there is a sickness that he can purge to help rebuild. He has this sight upon Cody that he thinks that Cody is an imposter. He's hiding his real self, and he wants him to quit to ultimately reveal himself, his true self, and will try to bring that out at the I Quit match to reveal the sickness, right? That maybe the corruption, maybe the nepotism, but he feels that there's a problem. And it seems like maybe he's targeting the EVPs in some capacity, right? Maybe this is what it is. He wants to kind of show the power that has corrupted them, and that they're using to direct AEW. But he almost sees himself as a savior. We gained heat for this story. Gets us a 64, not too bad. And we have a match with Darby Allin and Powerhouse Hobbs. It's an okay match. It's a little underperformer, though. Powerhouse only has a 41. Darby Allin has a 69. I think we're going to send Powerhouse Hobbs to developmental for a bit to see if we can increase his stats faster. But we'll have to look at what his actual in-ring, physical performances, whether it's a popularity issue, in which we'll keep him on, or whether it's a skill level issue, in which case we might want to send him to developmental for a bit. We can always borrow them here and there whenever we need them. Darby Allin defeats Powerhouse Hobbs in 11 minutes, almost 12 minutes, with a coffin drop. It does a very good match for what it is. You have a stump bump with Darby Allin. I think the stump bump was specifically the putting Hobbs on the floor onto a table to then coffin drop off the turnbuckle onto the floor through the table, right? So that kind of extra attack to put down Powerhouse Hobbs gets us a 58. Afterwards, the school comes out, Bobby Fish and Buddy Matthews, and they attack Darby Allin. Sting comes up to assist, but is 2-on-1 and ultimately is contended with after Buddy Matthews goes toe-to-toe with him for a bit. Bobby Fish grabs two tables, puts both of Darby Allin and Sting on the tables, and just does a flying elbow into each of them, crashing them through the tables, and ultimately kind of calling out their first shot that, they said that they want to attack the indie darlings, essentially, attack the people that the fans love for no good justification, to prove that they're going to be the better wrestlers than them. And it seems that they have targeted Darby Allin and has also attacked Sting in the process. We gain heat for the story, which is ultimately our goal. We get a pretty good segment rating of a 65. Will it be enough to get us where we need to be by the end of November? I don't know. But definitely, I think, is the right target for the job, as we have this vindictive Buddy Matthews and a vicious Bobby Fish targeting Sting and Darby Allin. In a wonderful segment, I should have remembered to put Kenny Omega on the microphone more. Omega talks about his new official opponent in an interview backstage with Tony Schiavone about CM Punk, and the question is, are you worried about CM Punk? And Kenny Omega goes, am I worried? No, of course not. Listen, maybe 7 years ago, CM Punk was an important figure, a person to really feel is a threat to you. But there's a lot that's changed since then. Mostly that I'm here. Because I'm still the top guy, not in this company, not in this country, not even in... I am the champion of the world. I am the top guy in this sport. There is nobody better than me, more disciplined than me, or more determined than me at this point. CM Punk had his time, and he chose to leave the business when it finally got hard for him. What we see now that's returned is simply a shell of his former self, the greatest hits version of CM Punk. At Full Gear, I'm going to give him a one-winged angel right back to doing Walking Dead after-party shows. Punk is no threat to Kenny Omega, according to Kenny Omega. Segment does fantastic. It's a 90 segment rating, so absolutely great. And we have, in our main event, again, trying to do anything, man. To do anything for this storyline. I should have put maybe John Silvers and Alex Reynolds. I thought they were part of this storyline, so we should have got a boost for it, but maybe it did, and I just don't see it. Dark Order defeat Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, and Mark Quinn. So we got Private Party to HFO lose. John Silver pins Isaiah Cassidy, gets a 61. And afterwards, the Fallen Order come out to attack again to try to build up this animosity with the Dark Order. Before it can really even get started, Hangman Page leaps out of nowhere to attack Emmett Koresh from behind, who's been previously kind of loitering around the entrance ramp to get into a scuffle, but Hangman got there first, ends up leveling him out for a bit, and actually busting Koresh's lip open, in which he looks at his own blood and just smiles sinisterly. The Dark Order repels the Fallen Order and gives them a bit of a win. We gain some heat here, gets us a 59. Hangman helping out in this segment the best we can, and ends the show. How we did, I don't know. We need a 66. Okay, we did okay. We got a 69. So that does not give us a point back. We needed a 70 in order to regain some momentum, but overall we did pretty okay here. For both shows. So and that was our go home. So we have a good build up going into Full Gear. We just have to get through Rampage. Pretty happy with that. All right, let's check the mail real quick. Frankie is fully fit. We had a 1.95, which is about 1.4 million viewers. Pretty good. Pretty good show overall. I'm pretty happy with where we're at. We did not lose any momentum. That's really what we wanted. We still have some problems with our storyline of just getting these to where we need to be. Building up with a 44. We have a couple more weeks, but not a lot of time. But can we do it with a Darby Allin and Sting storyline? I think so. I think we can. I'm really happy with how the ending of Jon Moxley versus Danielson's building up, and I think we're going to have a great blow-off match at Full Gear. We haven't really done much with this at the Elite Civil War story too much in a bit, because the Full Gear story has kind of taken its place. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these storylines have been pretty good, but I'm very concerned about the two that really matter for us. The Smash Brothers, which we're only at a 48. We need a 60 for it. We only need a 55 for our Bitter and Vindictive, but it's still a very long way to go for this. And I'm just not sure we're going to get there. But can we do it? Well, we got an episode of Rampage. I'm going to break that into its own episode for next week. And then we're going to have a special Saturday episode this week. You're probably going to see this on Sunday. We got like 3. The timing and schedule got all wonky. But you're going to have an episode on Wednesday that's just going to be Rampage. And then we're going to do our special Full Gear episode on Saturday. And then we're going to kick it back off the next week with an episode of Dynamite and Rampage, continuing in that kind of format. So yeah, very good show. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next one.